Happy New Year and welcome to episode 159 of the Heartland Knits podcast. My name is Vicki, but you can find me as Heartland Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. And today is Sunday, January 1st, 2017. Thank you all for joining me in this brand new year. I have a little bit of a mimosa here instead of tea or cocoa or something. I have a mimosa. But because this is the first day of the year, I thought I would concentrate on talking about sort of my knitting goals, my spinning and sewing goals kind of for this year. But I do have a leftover project from last year, and you're going to shake your head when you see it, especially kind of where it is. And that is my Jonquil Wensleydale's cardigan. This is my hand-spun sweater that I have shown you the last couple of podcast episodes. Late last week, I did upload a couple of episodes. One was from November, and one was from right before Christmas. The Christmas episode likely won't be, that only went up on YouTube, and it will probably only be there a very short time. So I don't know, by the time this goes up, that one might be coming down, because I recorded it in the yarn room because I had a real Christmas tree up with all my kind of handmade ornaments, and the video quality and the audio quality were really not up to snuff. It was, I tried, I couldn't really do anything with it, and I had wanted to get an episode out kind of in front of the Christmas tree, a Christmas episode. So I put it up just kind of for a short time, for people that kind of really, watch all the episodes. So anyway, back to the sweater. So this is my Jonquil Wensleydale sweater. And I have, if you watch those episodes, you'll see I have another new little Puri pattern on the bottom edge. So this is a sweater that I have been knitting on through kind of this fall, and I got to this point of starting the color work. It's a yoke sweater, but I got to this point kind of the end of November, and then I put it aside for a little bit, and then I picked it back up, and my goal had been to finish it by the end of the year, and as you see, it didn't happen. I had a strange thing happen with this sweater, something that's never kind of happened to me before. Usually when I do color work, I do a yoke sweater like my boho sweaters or whatever, the color work, I'm a little bit tighter gauge on it. So for the color work section, I usually go up a needle size. This time I didn't go up a needle size because I was using the row gauge. I'm just kind of using EPS, and I knew kind of the depth that I wanted the yoke to be. And so I thought, well, I had blocked out the bottom portion of the sweater, and I thought, well, I'll just use this row gauge for what I use for the top, and I won't change needle sizes. So I thought it would be just fine. So last week I knit the entire yoke, and my row gauge lengthened, which has never happened to me before. You would think that it would shorten, because usually I knit stranded knitting a little bit tighter than I knit the stockinette, and it actually lengthened. So when I got to the top, I was doing like a little Puri pattern and then kind of a main pattern that has this kind of band of birds. It's from the Passerine hat pattern that I'm kind of using that chart. And then I had kind of with the bottom little border that was repeating at the top, and it got to be too long, so that the yoke was too long. I really did not want to tear out, especially that bird section, because I really loved how it looked, and I love the look of it. It is not fun to knit at all. It is a 70 stitch wide chart, so you can't really get into any sort of a rhythm, normal kind of feral or Norwegian charts, you can sort of sing the repeat in your mind, 5 3 4 2 5 3 4 2, or whatever it is. You could, there was, it's 70 stitches wide. You couldn't get into any sort of rhythm. Plus it had really long floats, which I probably will talk about that more another time. But so anyway, it was a lot of, and I'm doing it flat, and so there was a lot of, management with the yarns and things. It wasn't really the most fun color work I've ever done. But I didn't want to, how it turned out is it would be the proper length if that just came to the top, and I really wanted it balanced between a pattern. I just, it's taken me so many years to get this yarn and this sweater almost finished. So I decided to just kind of bite the bullet and pull it out. And so I did. There's a puddle of yarn like sitting right over there that I haven't, I'm hopefully, I know I will have enough of the light blue and the dark blue. The white I had a limited amount of, so I may have to go and pull the white out, but I didn't want to deal with it. So it's sitting over in a puddle from where I pulled it out. So when as I got working on the bird chart, there was things that I didn't like about the border pattern that I put on, and I just left it because I didn't want to go back. But since I was pulling it out, I changed it because I did have to make it a little bit smaller. And so I went back to my first original thought that of doing the light blue and then having the dark for the inside board or inside pattern. So anyway, that is where this project sits. I'm anxious to start on some new things. I had sort of things planned that I wanted to start, and I am going to start on those, but I am going to persist and finish this up, even though it's cold. It's winter now, so it will be a while before I can actually kind of wear this, because I think of this as sort of an outdoor kind of a jacket cardigan kind of thing. But hopefully there will be, a nice kind of January thaw or something, and this will be kind of newly finished and I'll get to wear it. So that is where that project is. That last kind of the Christmas episode, I showed that I had knit this shawl kind of during December, and I showed it, but it was unblocked. So this week I did block it. I've got it attached. I have this is a little bird pin that had been my mom's, and so I just used that in lieu of a shawl pin. Since I'm wearing the shawl pin that I would normally wear, I'm wearing that in my hair. So I did block this out, so I thought I will show this to you. And so this is how it turned out. I'll try to hold it up so that you can sort of see the patterning. This is the Birkenin shawl by Annalise Mygard, and the yarn is a loop hand spun bump. So it is a triangle shape, and it really turned out, this is kind of my favorite like size of a triangle shaped shawl. It's just very, very wearable, and it's a very pretty shawl pattern, very straightforward, charted. I used every kind of last bit but this tiny little butterfly that I didn't have enough to do kind of even the last kind of purl row. So I just used some black sock yarn to kind of do the edging on it, and it's got a little picot bind on it. It was a very fun shawl to knit. I will try to sew. I put in these little kind of cranberry colored beads, because in those places she had you do noops, and I knew I wasn't going to have enough yarn for noops. So I put those in, and I was worried that they were going to look like the shawl had the measles, but it seems okay. Out in the, I wore this to church, so there were like overhead lights, and they did like get a little sparkle, and so that was fine. I'm okay with them. I really liked how she worked the it's got these center leaves as like a spine, but I really like how she worked, started working the leaves for the bottom edge, kind of worked those in, especially along the spine. I think she did a really nice job of just transitioning just very smoothly. And I don't know if the sparkles are going to show, especially in the dark sections. The sparkles, it's very sparkly, like a loop, like a loop bump off on our. Um, but anyway, I'm very happy with it. It was a fun shawl to knit. So looking ahead for what I want to be knitting on this next year, kind of the big project that I want to work on is a fair isle of my own design. I've had the thought of doing this for quite a while, a few years. I've collected yarn for it. I may get some more additional colors and things, but it's kind of been in my head. The first time I went to Hawaii and we went to the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, they had these like beautiful kind of patterns in the floors and the tiles and all kinds of other just like really pretty things. And I kept seeing like, oh, that would be really pretty knitted or pretty in a fair isle. And I took pictures of everything. And since then, that whole hotel has been renovated and a lot of things were changed. A lot of these little things are gone. But I've always wanted to do a fair isle kind of based on the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. The last time I was there, I took kind of bobbins of colors, things that like matched them, to eggs, what it looked like actually there. And so I had the color and I sort of had the patterns. It's just kind of sitting down and figuring them out and working on them, and it can feel a little overwhelming. So I knew this book was coming out. It is by a friend of mine, and so I knew she was working on it. It's based on a workshop that she gives, and she's in kind of West Coast, and I'm here in the Midwest, so I was never could take it. It's like a multiple day workshop that she gives, and so I thought, well, I need to wait for this book, and then it was kind of delayed a year, so I bought the book for myself for Christmas. So the book is called The Joy of Color, and it is by Janine Bages. And over the last week, I have read this entire book, cover to cover, every word, and I love this book. I knew I would love it just from knowing her online, and I have taken a class with her, and when I would go out to Madrona, I would see her and things, but it is really the most excellent book. There have been some others that were sort of like this, didn't break it down like this one does, and to make it seem really, really doable. So it's really nicely written. I like her kind of method of how she works through it, kind of step by step. She gives you, she talks about maybe like one chapter is about color, and then she'll give you a little like to-do list of like kind of what to work on, what to think about, kind of questions. She asks questions that you can answer and then sort of define a little more kind of what you want. And then it also has, so it has those sort of things from her workshop. And then she also shows like her kind of design inspirations from like projects that sweaters and things that she did. And also from like some of her students. She kind of profiles what they did and their inspiration and kind of how the finished sweater came out. And so I'm going to use this, and here's my yarn. This is the yarn that I have collected. I will probably go through and I may, buy a few more colors of, that maybe because I think these are all sort of, they're very close in value, but these are the colors, you know, the colors of the pink hotel and the colors of the water and you know, all of those things. So I may get additional one. I am going to start. There's a she has a specific way of how to swatching for just the colors and then swatching in the within the patterns. So I'm going to try that because I've always just tried to kind of swatch like in the pattern, and there's so many variables. Then it's the color and is it the pattern that the you know, the pattern is you know, depends how many stitches of each color you have together, you know, that make it look bolder or softer or whatever. So I would highly recommend this book if that is kind of a thing that you are thinking you would like to do. And it doesn't even have to be kind of a garment, but if you just kind of want to play with color a little bit more. In the back, she has kind of basic recipes for like how to knit like a hat and a tam and like fingerless mitts, and then she gives you sort of the raw charts, how she you know, does them and fills them out so that you can sort of just, you know, play and figure things out. So it doesn't even have to really be a garment that you're doing. You can start out with, you know, a hat. So anyway, that is kind of my biggest thing that I'm going to work on. I'm not kind of going to give me, you know, myself a deadline. I want to work on it kind of steadily and just keep going at it. Would I love to have it done before knitting camp? Yeah, but if as kind of in my head, as long as I could be working on it there, and that would be fine with me too. I'm not gonna like put pressure on myself that I need to have it finished by then. And then another thing that I really want to knit on, and I think I talk about this kind of every year, is I want to knit all the mittens. I bought that really beautiful Latvian mitten book when I was at knitting camp last summer, and I haven't knit anything out of there yet. So I definitely want to knit, you know, at least one pair of those, a couple pairs of those. I want to do twine mittens again. I would like to do maybe like 2-color twine mittens this time. You know, all kinds of different ones. And then I also splurged on another book for myself for Christmas. And these might be the mittens that or gloves that I start out with. And so the book that I got is the Selbewvater. It is by Anne Bardsgaard. And it is, you know, a pretty thick, pretty big book. It is just a fantastic book. I follow Meg Swanson on Facebook, and she posted up that she had gotten this book in kind of right before Thanksgiving, and they immediately went like boom, they were gone out the door. It is a book from Norway. It is all in Norwegian, but it is all like charted, like all the patterns. I can get those close. The patterns are all charted. So charting is sort of universal language, right? You know, I would love to read the Norwegian in here, but as long as you know how kind of a mitten is constructed and how to knit a mitten, you can you know, construct one using the charts in there. There are just a ton of them, kind of back of hand ones, cuff ones, palm side, you know, thumb charts. And then the thing that threw me completely over the edge when she wrote that, there's 3 pages of you know, with these kind of mittens, you have like a pattern for the back of the hand and one for the palm, and then there's usually like 3 or 5 stitch pattern right along the you know, inside that separates the two. There's 3 pages of charts for that narrow little pattern. So I think I have to, like, I want to just jump in. I might cast on a pair of these actually today. I was going to bring it out, but I've been thinking I have some cream and some black cashmere that I've had for a long time. Then quickly, as far as spinning goes, I think I need to get going on one of the fleeces. I showed you the fiber closet of a couple months ago, and I have all those fleeces in there. I think I need to get busy. I'm not exactly sure which one I want to do. The one I had a little bit of it started one time. Um, it was actually my very first fleece. It's a Perindale, and it's this beautiful color. And kind of in order to preserve the color, I was flicking it, which I'm not real thrilled with spinning from flicked locks, but I think I might try to get back to that one. I found another fleece. I found another fleece. I've been doing kind of organizing, cleaning down in the basement, finding absolute treasures that I didn't know that were even down there. But I found another fleece that I think it just got stashed down there. I had gotten it at like Sheep and Wool, and it's all washed and everything. It's really a dark, brown, like black polypay, or it's a polypay cross. I'm not sure anymore. There's probably a thing in there, but I kind of forgot all about it, and I think I just got stashed down there when, I don't know, somebody was coming or something. So there is that one. I thought that one will need to be combed. So I don't know. But I will get going on a fleece. And my big sewing project that I am kind of anxious and, kind of can't wait to get started on is, I have the fabric for it already, but I want to do the couture dress from the Susan Colgy class. So I kind of started thinking about it, what I wanted to do, and I knew that I couldn't really find like really nice fabric like here, and I thought maybe I wanted to try sewing with a wool. It's winter, and I couldn't find anything like that, like really nice at Joann. So I was looking online at the fabric.com and Mood and the other ones, and so I found, I ordered swatches from Mood, and one of them I decided that I really liked, and that was this one. And it's a blend. It's a wool blend, but you can see it's very sort of drapey and very frayy. But I thought that it was pretty. It's got like multiple colors of pink, and it's a little plaid, so that's kind of another challenge to get the plaids to working with plaid and getting it to match and things, because like to me that's like essential. If you're going to sew your own thing, you really need to. I have so many skirts like through the years that were plaid or or tweed or whatever, that even if you bought them in a really nice store, they're mass made, so matching plaids takes more fabric, it takes more time, and you're just not going to get that when it's in a ready to wear kind of thing. So if you're going to sew your own, it's just like really, I need to really get this to match. So I decided, I had ordered some, so I decided I got that I wanted to get this. I ordered the fabric. It was either Cyber Monday or Black Friday. They were having a sale, and so I got the fabric. This is going to, you can see how very like it's like loosely woven. I can like pull on it and stuff. So this is going to be underlined. I'm going to do the whole Susan Colgy thing, with the, from, tracing it with the, on the sewing lines and the whole thing. I want to try her whole entire method. So I'm going to underline it. I'm not sure yet if I'll use silk organza. That's what she uses, or maybe, I don't know. Silk organza has the benefit of being able to see through it so that you can match up the plaid, so that would be good. But there's like some other options, even like a cotton or something. So the pattern that I'm going to use for it, I'm going to go back and use the pattern that she uses in her class, which is this Vogue 8648, this one. And I'm going to, I'm going to be doing a muslin, so I'm going to like try things out with the muslin, but I'm planning on, if you can see in that red one, it's got like a kind of a midriff like waistband, not really a waistband, but it's kind of, a couple inches. And for that, I'm going to use this on the bias so that it gives it a little bit of interest. It's not just this like same like print, like, pattern all the way down the whole dress. So this will like break it up. And that'll also mean that I don't have to match the top and the bottom. It's kind of what she does in the class. And I'm also going to do sleeves, kind of elbow length sleeves like I did on the black dress. I'm going to do those on the bias too, because she says in that class that makes them kind of very wearable and like they have a little bit more movement in them. And I was kind of like wasn't thrilled with either one of the skirts in this pattern, but I think I'm going to try. I'm not going to do the full skirt, but I'm going to try to do this one so that it's more of, because I can picture that, this fabric in a straighter, maybe more A-line, kind of silhouette. But this is like a princess seamed skirt, so there's like 7 panels you have to sew together, and to sort of make it a little bit easier, a little bit less matching involved. And also, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of try to make it so that it's just the front and the back, so 3 pieces, a front and then 2 backs. To shape it, instead of doing, because it will only be 1 piece, let's say across the front, and these have, separate panels that are shaped as they're cut out. So to make it smaller at the waist, I'm going to use the extra fabric, either, like a slight gather, as it's this, it's not underlined. It seems to gather okay, but I don't know what it'll be like when it's lined. But even maybe more, if I would have enough to do like a little box pleat or something like that. I don't know how it will look. I don't know if it will work, but that is kind of what I'm going to try out kind of with the muslin and just see how that would, how it looks kind of wearing it. So I'm not giving myself a time frame for this thing either. I would like it by the springtime. I'm not saying, I want to have it done by, Valentine's Day or something. It is, it's pink, so if it moves into spring, into March or whatever, it'll be fine. I'll still be able to wear it because, it's not like it's a dark gray that, when it gets to be, the end of March, that I really wouldn't want to wear that color anymore. But because I really want to just kind of enjoy the process, see how it works, and the muslin might take a few times to work out and get it to fit correctly. So when I ordered that fabric, I also got some more swatches. When you order fabric, you get you can get, I think, 5 free swatches. So I ordered a few. Let's see, what are they? I ordered a couple of crepe de chine samples because that's what Susan Calder uses for her linings. And so I just thought, well, I will, order a couple samples and I can see what they're like, compared to, I really loved working with that Silk Cotton Radiance satin, which is so different than the kind of satin, the polyester satin that you get like at the, box stores, the Joann's and things. That is like, they're nothing alike. So I don't know if I'll use that again, but I thought, well, I'll just like get a couple samples of this. This might be even pretty for like, my cotton dresses and things. And then I got a couple samples of voile, um, like just regular, you know, cotton foil, just so I could sort of see, for linings or for underlinings. I thought about maybe I would underline this fabric with a cotton foil, and it, gives it a little more substance. And then I also got these samples of silk cotton foil. It doesn't say exactly the percentages, but it is really nice. You could just see that little bit of shimmer. I would really love to use like this for lining for like a summer dress. I think that would be just wonderful. Um, the I'm starting out. I'm going to do this dress. The only other thing I'm thinking about that I want specifically to work on and to get done is that pink feather Liberty of London fabric that I bought last year at Ginny's. I want to have a dress out of that finished before I go to ZK this year, which is that's the end of June. So I think that'll be okay. But if I like this couture sewing method, I think I might want to use that fabric and do a couture dress out of that. Anyway, Deb, if you're watching, you need to, whatever you're making out of your half, because she bought the other half of the bolt of the feather fabric. It's like you need to, like we both need to have ours done so that we can walk in to Ginny's with ours on, and we need that picture up. And I do have a couple other goals that aren't even knitting or sewing or fiber related. Is I'm getting my piano tuned this week. So I played piano for a long, long, long time when I was, growing up. And then I kept playing until about 15 years ago. And I kind of stopped. That was about when my sister passed away, and I just couldn't play that winter. And then I kind of just never went back to it. So the piano really needs to be tuned. So I'm going to have that done. And the other thing that it's going to take some practice, and I want to work on my penmanship, which you think, well, do you really need to practice that? I really need to practice that. Last year, I wrote out a thank you note. It took me 5 cards to get it so that it was even halfway legible. I don't even know if she could read it, but I was writing, I couldn't even read my own writing. It was so bad. I think we just don't do it kind of anymore very much, and you just lose that. It's eye-hand coordination. So I found some things online, and you could that you practice like when we were little, like just you practice them. So those are sort of my plans. I do still have blue shimmer on the needles, and I am going to pick that back up. It's been sitting idle for the last couple of months, and I do want to get going and knitting on that a little bit more consistently, because that would be nice to have done by Easter time or something. So that is about all that I have for you on this kind of first day of the new year. I generally choose a theme for my year. A lot of people pick kind of one word that they use to carry them, through the next year. I kind of usually have a little phrase, a theme or something. And this year, I decided it was going to be count your blessings. I don't think I would have gotten through the last month, 6 weeks, without that's kind of finally kind of what got me through is just remembering that, and when I was feeling really the worst, that's what kind of got me through. So count your blessings and your shoes. I was not going to get, because I have had so much work that had to be done, I was not going to get Christmas vlogs. And then at the very end, I just decided I really just had to. And I'm so glad I did. So let me show you my Christmas vlogs. These are them. They are the Elisabetta, and I love them so much. I they had out last year, and last year when I was going to get Christmas Vogs, it was down to sort of 2 pair, and I picked the Margies, and then I thought, well, I'll get Elisabetta after Christmas, and they were just gone. After they didn't even do like a countdown, there's 2 left in your size. You usually get a notified if you have them on your wish list. They were just gone, and it made me sad because they're so pretty. And then late this fall, they had made a second batch, and so um, they were ones that I just thought I cannot let them get away again. But they are really that beautiful. They're like the leather is sort of like a embossed, and I don't know how they do it, how they make the leather, if it's totally gold and then they press it and it takes the top part, the gold comes off, or just how they do it. These are one of the shoes that, like the floral shoes, the patterning can like be mismatched on them. I don't have them both, but mine are like perfectly matched. It got to be the last week, and I thought I really wanted to get some. I just couldn't not get any, and so I called this the Minneapolis store, which is not too far away. So they happened to have a pair in my size, and I had her look at them. I didn't even have her send me a picture. I just trusted that, she was telling me the truth. And they said these are, because I wanted golder ones, like some of them, depending on, some of them look golder than others. And I especially wanted mine to be gold, and and she opened the box and she said these patterns are really matched. They're on the golder side, and so she sent them out. I got them less than 24 hours later, and it was not any special, she said I wrote back then and said, they're here already. I can't believe it. And she said the UPS guy came 10 minutes after I called, and they made him wait for them to finish boxing up the shoes. So, and the ribbon is a velvet ribbon, and it's a double-sided velvet, so it is not slippery, and they stay tied, the entire time they're wearing them. And then this is a Baroque. It's the Baroque family, and it's like characterized by this like shaped heel. On the bottom, they're like messy. You can sort of see it says Baroque, and then in little it says there's no fashion like old fashion. So yeah, Elisabetta. There's another pair I'm just dying for that would match that my Jonquil Wensleydale sweater. And I think part of the reason that I'm persisting, I'm going to finish that sweater, because when I had to rip out the yoke again, I really wanted to just put it away. But I told myself, if I finish that sweater, I can get the Investigators, the shoes that will match it. So that is what is giving me reason to go on with it. So Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all have a really great start to this year. And until I see you next time, from my heart to yours, happy knitting.